Hello, hello, everybody. We are getting all set up. We are getting all set up here. In just a moment, we are going to have an amazing guest on guest on ZTV. I am still waking up today. Thank you all so much for being so patient. We have on here, we've got TikTok going, we've got Discord, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, everything you can dream of, Facebook. Hi, it's so great to see you. Yes, start tuning in. And everybody who is here at the moment, feel free to drop in the chat where you are tuning in from and let me know. Are you on Instagram? Are you on TikTok? Where are you? And how are you feeling today? Are you like me, still waking up? I've got my coffee over here, I've got my water. So we're just gonna go with a flow as we do on ZTV. And in just a moment, I'm gonna bring on such an amazing guest who is making a large impact in the virtual community and in the physical community in the world. And as many of you know, this is a vortex for lots of folks who present in many different ways. And today we're going to have a more masculine guest since we do a lot of feminine work. And I'm just super excited. We have someone tuning in from Houston, Texas. I love that. Our guest is also from Texas and from YouTube. I love that. Welcome. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on our lovely guest. Oh, we have someone also from South Africa. Hello from South Africa. We have someone from Portland, Maine. I love this. This is amazing. I'm glad that you all are awake. It is officially 5:59 a.m. in the rising here. I'm surprised I am awake as I am today. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Guests are telling me that they're fixing their Wi-Fi, so they're going to be right back. They're going to be right back to tune in. So in just a moment, we are going to get started. And as we usually do, before I bring on this lovely guest, I am going to invite us all to close our eyes for just a moment. Really relax our shoulders and take a deep grounding breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just taking a moment to express gratitude for this beautiful day, for having access to be able to join as a community. May whatever guidance you are seeking today show up in this very beautiful call and bring us all together as a community. We're going to take one more deep breath in and open mouth exhale. And we are going to rock and roll. Let me bring you up. Hello, Patrick. How are you doing?
I am absolutely amazing. Listen, I didn't even know I needed that big old breath, that pause. That right there was everything. Like I'm ready to go now.
I love starting with a grounding breath. I feel like it's so easy to get on social media, as you know, and just jump straight in with all of the energy. But every once in a while, we can take a moment to express some gratitude for even having internet.
Right. Yeah, that part. Yeah.
So I love that. Thank you so much for joining today. We are going to be talking about visibility, healing, and making an impact, turning pain into purpose. For anybody who is new here, welcome to the space. This is ZTV. I love to bring folks on from the community who are changing the world every single step of the way, and really empowering folks who come into their community. We had the honor, Patrick Hart and myself, of being on the blocks together, and so we decided to collaborate today. They are a powerhouse and the brains behind PDP Media, a platform that's elevating voices, shifting narratives, and doing real work to empower folks from all walks of life. So welcome to the ZTV, Patrick. Thank you. you.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here amongst your guests as well. Hello, everybody. I see some shout outs from Texas. Dallas right here in the house. So let's get
Yes.
it.
I love it. Yeah. And as folks begin to drop in, continue to let us know where you are tuning in from, how you are feeling. And again, we appreciate you being here. So we are going to jump right in with these lovely questions, Patrick. I know folks have been asking me on the side, like, what kind of work do you do? Like, what are you going to talk about? So we're going to start with the very beginning. What pulled you into the medical space and how did that journey shape the work that you do now?
That's a great question. For me, what pulled me into the medical space was opportunity. Prior to finding the medical space, I had spent 7.5 years in the mobile home industry, rising through the ranks, became a general manager, and was running retail centers here in the Texas Metroplex. But then the housing market went to crap in like 2008. And I'm like, okay, so here I am. I have skills, I have education, I have experience, but now I don't have any opportunity, like at least in the space, because people wasn't buying houses anymore, right? That wasn't the thing. So I was like, okay, how can I use the skills that I've already obtained in a new industry? And I found healthcare in 2009. And once I found healthcare, like I just saw it was full of opportunities. And I was like, okay, let me explore this a little bit more. So I continued to explore, healthcare from 2009 all the way up into 2023. And during that spell of time, and I've done many different things within healthcare, and I would say the biggest opportunity for me actually came when, I ran a healthcare technology company in 2015, supporting 8,000 clients nationwide. I had a business unit, had, multiple people reporting to me, and had a development team in Chennai, India. And so it was a big opportunity for me. But here I'm this young black man in this corporation, in this technology company, and there wasn't a whole lot of people that looked like me. And that was, man, that's so inspiring, but it's so heartbreaking at the same time. And it makes you feel a type of way. And so I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But, that's how I found healthcare, and that's where it all began.
Yeah, I love that. And I do want to touch on it really quickly as you're mentioning, not seeing yourself reflected back at you and what that was really like. Cause I know that many of the guests are intersectional. They come from all walks of life. And I think it's something that we experience as folks who present as Black, right? Depending on what field you get into. So how did you really navigate that space?
Oh, man, I would say there's a lot of prayer, but the prayer starts there, right? But the other thing too is, I can't say I did it alone. Even though it was me doing the work, I should also point out the fact, everybody that's listening and watching, that, I'm married. I have 4 boys, and my boys, they range from age 34 all the way down to 20, right? Then I have 2 grandkids. I have a 13-year-old grandson and a soon to be 8-year-old granddaughter. And I'm telling you all that because it's family. And when you think about, scaling and elevating anything that you do, oftentimes it requires communication. And I have a strong wife, and I love that about her, right? Super strong black female. She's all about her business. But I think the big thing there is we hold each other accountable.
Mhm.
And in my scaling and elevation, I've always made it clear to my wife, like what I wanted to accomplish. And she always held me to those standards of whatever I wanted to accomplish. So it started for me within the household. And then from there, when you go out in public and you present yourself, it's like, what are the little baby steps you can do to position yourself to be in the room? And I've always been curious. Like, I've always wanted to know, well, what's behind that door? And how do I get to that floor? And where does this elevator go? Does it take me to the basement or take me to the top? So I think that curiosity has helped me get to the next step each and every time.
I love that. And you're saying it without saying it, but really having that drive of being a self-starter. Like that is the biggest thing as you're navigating new spaces, and having a community around you. And I love that you you had your wife every step of the way. Like having a partner or folks around you who are cheering you on makes a world of difference. So I appreciate you sharing that because, as even on entrepreneurs, and if you're not, like, it's important to be around folks that you can turn to whenever you need it, or to motivate you or see the things that you don't always see in yourself to help you keep going and ask questions and not just assume that that door that you're looking at is going to have everything you want when there's another door right over there that's just around the corner. So I love that you mentioned that. I do want to ask you how you switched from medicine to media, because those are two very different spaces.
Yeah, listen, I think sales and marketing has kind of always been my background. Like when I got out of the military and I found, oh, I didn't even point out that I spent 6 years in the army. Right, I was a helicopter mechanic. Had an amazing opportunity to explore many different states here in the United States, but also visit several countries overseas. In fact, I ended up doing 2 tours overseas. One specifically, right during 9/11 as well. So shout out to all my veterans that are out there listening and watching. Shout out to you, men and women out there serving our country and making the world great again, right? Um, but I think that was one. What was the other part of the question? Because I want to make sure I answered it all. Where are we going with this?
How did you switch from medicine to
Oh,
media?
from medicine to media. So yeah, we're talking about the military. I wanted to back into that, but when I'm growing my career, here it is in healthcare, and I'm looking around and I see all the people who look like me that are not in the room with me, but they're trying. But sometimes they don't know how to like to navigate that path. So when I found sales and marketing back in the day in the mobile home industry, I use those skill sets within healthcare. And oftentimes, what I would come in and do in organizations is look at what is your different and better story. How are you telling your story? How do we connect with our patients? How do we connect with the people that we're targeting, like our target market audience? So sales and marketing has kind of always been my thing. And in that, what I realized in healthcare is what we miss is storytelling. Like we're not really good at storytelling. Healthcare is a vast industry that covers the whole world, and there's millions of people that make up the space. However, what healthcare does not do is help you really understand what separates this healthcare facility from the next. Or if I'm looking for employment, how do I go from here to here to here? So scaling, that ladder, that's important. A lot of people intrinsically find healthcare because it feels good to them. Like they had that servant leadership heart. They want to impact and serve other people, whether that's at the bedside or behind the scenes. They're still finding healthcare, but we're losing people. And I was like, well, how can we just keep more people in healthcare, or attract the market into healthcare to come back in healthcare? And I felt like we needed to expand our visibility through storytelling. So for me, that was a logical shift to go from sales and marketing and healthcare to now helping people tell their story through media. And so that's how PDP Media came to light.
I love that. I mean, there's so many industries out there that are missing out on visibility just from not being able to tell their story and let people know why their services are so important to be a part of. And I love that you just so naturally were able to see that. And it just goes to show that it was also probably very meant for you to go down that path, and just the power of storytelling. And my business is very heavily centered around ancestors, and we kind of talk about how they shared a lot of knowledge through their actual words, through books, through storytelling, in a sense, right? That's how we always
Yeah.
learn. I think at like family gatherings, everyone's sitting around talking, telling stories. That's all you remember. So I love that you bring that up, because just on a basic level of media and marketing, just being able to share authentically is what is so important. So I really want to touch on empowerment now. So what does empowerment mean to you in 2025, and how does PDP Media embody that?
Ooh, you coming with the dope questions today. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Empowerment. I'm gonna sum it up in one word. I think empowerment for me means options.
Yeah.
It means options. And I point that out there again. It means options. When we think about empowerment, a lot of times we think about strength, right?
Mhm.
And we don't all have strength. I want to point that out that we're not all muscular, we're not all strong, right? Sometimes we're not all mentally there, right? So, and that's part of strength too. But when you think
Right.
about empowerment, a lot of us, what we're looking for is we come from these broken backgrounds, these broken families, our upbringing wasn't the best, right? And I'm sure we can identify with things like that.
Mhm.
But you often feel like you don't have options. You
Mhm.
feel like what my surrounding is my life, and I can't move beyond that. And so
Right.
when I think about empowerment, I think about options. Like, how can I give you options to change your scenery? How can I give you options to go beyond where you are today? How can I give you options to make a choice that's going to benefit you and your family? So empowerment to me means options.
I love that. And as you're speaking about it, it really is a tool or a strength that folks can learn, that it'll last their entire lifetime. Because as you're saying, like, the more that you have options, the more that you're never going to be stuck, no matter the situation, the more you're going to have that growth mindset, the more you're going to want to be out in the community, right? When folks come to you with questions, you're going to automatically shift into that energy of how can we grow and do better and show up better for everybody else, right? And for folks who are are tuning in, feel free, you're welcome to ask questions in the chat, and let us know if you've ever made, hi Maria, and let us know if you've ever made career changes. Yes, showing some love. Career changes in your own life. How was it for you? Were you able to navigate it the way that Patrick has? And I love that you also mentioned that we don't always have strength. I love that visibility too, because changing careers can feel like a big step for anybody, especially if you have family members, or maybe you're the one leading that family. And just to honor that when you make that decision, you're not always sure if it's going to land the way you want, but when you have that growth mindset, it usually ends up being the best decision of your life.
And that's the thing to a lot of people. Like they're just like, well, I mean, everything he's saying sounds great, right? Yeah, obviously, I can look at him and I can identify with Patrick, and he may not look like me. He may or may not have accomplished something that I'm trying to accomplish. But what I can tell you is I'm human, right? And being human, we all struggle with many different things, and part of those things is looking for clarity, looking for understanding. We're just talking about self doubt, insecurities. All that comes into play as you begin to navigate your career. The thing is what's going to separate you from everybody else is how do I deal with that in the moment? Like, how can I take that lack of visibility? How can I take those insecurities and then start positioning myself, take like small baby steps to help me get to where I want to go? And oftentimes what happens is we have these big ideas and beliefs, and the minute we have one particular setback, it derails our whole entire plan. You're like, well, why? That shouldn't have happened, right? So I want you to keep your big vision, but I want you to understand we need to create these small milestones to back into, those opportunities. And it's okay to realize that sometimes some of those steps are not going to pan out. That's all part of the journey. And if you remember this, if you remember just throughout, your career and elevation, whatever you're trying to do in life, is that the moment or the season that you're in is only a chapter in life. It's only one chapter. And what we do is we internalize everything so much that we think what's going on right now is our entire life. But if you have that growth mindset, it allows you to really think that, okay, yeah, Patrick's right. This is only one particular chapter. And in this chapter, at some point, I'll be able to flip the page, right? And then we'll just move forward from there.
Right. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've been on my path as an entrepreneur and was like, how am I going to, how am I going to do this? People are asking me questions. What is your long-term plan? And I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow.
You know what? That's so true too, because I want to touch on that. And I know it's probably may or may not be one of the questions, but man, we all want to do something and we don't know how to do it. And even especially as an entrepreneur, like, so I'm like you, some days I wake up, I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing that day. All I know is I'm going to be doing something, right?
Right.
Sometimes, you get a phone call, sometimes you get an email, and then that's going to, take you down one particular hole that you want to explore a little bit more. But, I want to share with everybody, even though I own a media company and I'm telling the story of various people throughout the world, there's days, man, I wake up, I don't really have a plan. All I know is I need to be active that day, whatever that may be. It may be networking, it may be looking for collaborations, that may be creating content where I can share it, across social media with everybody that's out there is watching. It's just about trying to be active in that day, then following your faith.
Right. And keep moving forward. We talked about with my community manifestation and how every piece matters. Like everything you do, no matter how small it is, as you're saying, an email, a comment back to someone, reaching out to your community, or even just waking up that day. And if you feel like you need rest because you're burnt out, like having the grace to be like, I'm going to be a million times more strong tomorrow if I just take that rest day right now instead of going like 10,000% in the wrong direction.
You and I are here right now because I saw you on Instagram. I mean, of course, we did the blocks together, right? And we connected there. but you have so many different. I was like, different. You got so many different styles that I didn't even know it was you. Like there was a post on LinkedIn. I was like, what is that? Is that Z? What? And then it made me reach out to you, and that was me personally reaching out to you and say, you know what, let's collab. And now we're here having this discussion where we can impact and empower so many people across the world. So this is dope.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I feel like I've got a flavor of the week just for myself, like myself who
I
knows.
love it. I love it.
Hello, Zawadi. It's great to meet you. And Shay, welcome from Vancouver. Let's hop into another question that I have for you. So, one thing that I've noticed in your content, which I absolutely love and pops up all the time, and there's all these gems in there, is that you choose to like fully show up as your most authentic self. You are confident, you are clear, you are visible, and very consistent, because I feel like that's an important journey for
Yeah.
an entrepreneur. What advice would you give to people who are scared to show up online?
Ooh, this is a good one. You ask yourself, what do you want out of life? First, you start there. What do I want out of life? And then, if showing up on across social is going to help you get that, then it's just part of the journey, right? It's a part of the chapter. It's a part of the coursework. It's part of the design that needs to happen. So be authentically you. You know, everybody talks about authenticity, right? That's important. But take baby steps. Sometimes if you're not a camera person like me, I love being in front of the camera, right? I don't know why, but
Me too.
I love being in front of the camera. I really, really do. Like this is for me. I feel like this has always been my calling. But if you wanted to show up, sometimes you can show up through artwork, right? If that's your vibe. Sometimes it's through poetry. Sometimes it's through blogs and writing. You can still show up. You just find out how you want to show up, and it doesn't necessarily have to be your face. But take those small incremental baby steps and build up your confidence. Here you are. You're looking at me, and I created my company like 2 years ago, and what a lot of people don't know, for that first year, I didn't do any marketing whatsoever for the company. The only thing that I was doing, had my head down, working behind the scenes, learning how to do video editing. And I started with like Adobe Premiere Pro. It's like one of the hardest things you can actually learn. It's like learning a whole nother language.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna keep it 100 with everybody out here. And I have video and I can post it for proof. Man, there's many different nights. Man, I'm sitting in my office, I'm sitting in my backyard, and I'm crying. Like I'm bawling
Yeah.
because I'm thinking I'm never gonna get past where I'm at in this moment.
Right.
And only thing I ever ask for, like I don't ask God to bless me with financial things. The only thing I ask for is strength. Like give me the strength and the motivation to continue to push forward today, tomorrow. And if you give me that strength, then I'm gonna act on it. And that's how you can slowly but surely begin to create the life that you want for yourself and your family.
Yeah, and I love that, you're just being honest about the emotional aspect of being on that journey of self-discovery and, allowing God or whatever your spirituality is
Yeah.
into your life to come to support you. Uh because I feel like it is so important, and not everybody has a physical community right away, and some people just start their business and don't know like where to begin, but that strength is what gets you through every single moment. Like I don't even have words for it. Like I feel like I'm trying to articulate the emotions that you kind of brought up as you were speaking, and taking small action. And it reminded me, there is a mentor that I have, and they have built like many businesses that make millions of dollars, and their content creator got on to teach us how they made their videos. And there was this aspect of like, wow, I'm at first, right, my own mind was like, wow, I'm
Yep.
never going to be able to do like what they do. And they're like, hey, it's 2025, we're always on the road. And they create a lot of their content from their phone, from their
Yes.
own.
I do.
Yeah,
Yep.
from
I
their own.
do.
From CapCut. And I cried. Like I
Yeah.
cried because I was like, thank you for making life easier, and just reminding me that I am overcomplicating things, and that I can keep it simple, and that I'm going to get through this. And that day I had set the intention and meditated, and I was like, can can you just lead me in the right direction so I know how to make ththings and make things quickly so I'm not so scared all the time.
Right. And I want to address the comment. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Aussie? Oh,
Honestly, Ashay, I'm not.
a Shay, a Shay. Oh, that's pretty. I like it if it's a Shay. I like it. I like it. Let's go. So I'm a part of, like many of us. We have friends and we have family members, and we get part of these group chats, right? And I have a guy friend group, and they're always sending stuff on a group chat. And sometimes they send it at the worst times, right? And it's the most annoying thing ever. And they're always like links to TikTok or links to Instagram or links to some feed. And generally speaking, it's some like ratchet crap. You're like, what? And so you're like, well, like, why are you sending me this, right? And so on that group chat, my guy friends, they know today that 9 times out of 10, I'm not even responding to you. One, because I want clarity for that day. And when you send me stuff, I'm not opening it because I'm not opening because I don't want that to derail my vision or my path or my clarity for that particular day. Maybe later when I have some free time, I may look at that. The other thing too is I don't want that part of my algorithm. I don't want that to be like I wake up and now all of a sudden I got people fighting and stuff. Like, why? Like that's not feeding my purpose or my vision for what I'm trying to accomplish. So one, I think it starts with being hyper focused and alert of what you're putting into your mind, because that's very important and powerful about the outcome that you're able to give out. Especially if you have negativity going in, then you're only going to have, generally speaking, negativity going out. That's one piece. The other piece of it too is when we think about creating content, and everyone wants to start somewhere, you think you need this thousands of dollars worth of equipment. That was me, been there, done that. I bought a camera. My camera, man, my camera was like $4,000 or $5,000 for a freaking camera. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna need this because I'm gonna be your next big whomever content creator. And here it is, 2025. I use my iPhone more than anything. Like most of my content is just recorded on my iPhone. So I just want to put that out there. You don't need much to get started, and find your tools like a CapCut that has a teleprompter, and you can read right from the teleprompter right into your phone, so you're good to go.
I love that. Yeah, just keeping it as simple as possible and remembering that you are the key to your success as well. Like people show up because of how loving you are, how knowledgeable you are, and just remember to keep going. And reminder, yeah, feel free to drop things into the chat if you have any questions or comments. Is this resonating with you? I'm just reading this comment right
There's some
now.
dope names here in the chat, man. I'm loving this energy. This is great. Yeah. What up, people?
Yeah, I mean, this last comment kind of ends with, what content do I even create? I think that's a great reflection, Patrick. So I would love for you to give some advice in the beginning of when you're creating content. How do you know what to create?
Yeah, you really don't. You really don't. And unless you're an expert in one particular area, you really don't. For me, I tapped into that motivation piece because it speaks to me. So if you go to my content page, and you guys can follow me at that healthcare guy, THAT healthcare guy, across whether that's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or LinkedIn. I'm on all of those. I decided that it speaks to me. So you tap into what speaks to you, and then you try to get better at it each and every time, right? Like I watch a lot of people. They do like the fishing. They're out there catching bass. Like I don't do it, but I found it enjoyable. Like I want to see the bait that they're using. That's awesome, right? Or I stop and I listen to poetry, and people have some dope flows, and I'm like, wow, right? Or I see breakdance, and I'm like, okay, I'm inspired. You're doing breakdance, like that's really dope. There's so many different things that you can do. It's just whatever speaks to you, and then the goal is to get better at it, right? Especially if you want visibility, it's like, how can I improve day after day after day? So start somewhere, whatever that may be, and then focus on how do I get better at it. And sometimes that's through collaborations as well, like this. I wanted to get out my message. How am I going to get better? There's Z. Let's go, Z. Let's do it.
I'm always here to try something new. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for mentioning that. And for the longest time on my journey, folks always told me to stay in one very specific lane, but I'm a very dynamic person, as you've seen, and because of that, I can make an impact through all of the mediums that I have and help folks do the artistry but also write that book. So it's important to honor the parts of ourselves that you know we may not show every day, that are just as beautiful. So as you mentioned, like show up that day and
Yeah.
ask it is that you want to express, and there's always going to be folks who are going to feel it because it's going to come from your heart. So I do want to ask you another question. What's something you wish people knew about starting a media platform that actually makes an impact?
It takes money, it definitely takes money. So, and that's anything in life. Like it takes an investment. I want to point this out. If you're trying to elevate your career, 9 times out of 10, you're going to need to invest in like some skill work, right? It may be some coursework. It may be taking like a LinkedIn course. It may be going to school. All of that costs money, right? That still costs some type of money. So you're going to invest in it. When you're starting a company or becoming an entrepreneur, you're going to need to map out, what does that plan look like and how much is this going to cost me? I've already spent past everything that I thought it was going to cost me in some just to be here, to show up authentically me myself. That's two. Financially, what is this going to cost me? Three is, what's the time commitment? There's a huge time commitment involved in anything that you do, and you have to be committed to yourself. And I'll point that out because if you're trying to impact other people or yourself, that commitment comes from within, and you have to truly lock in to what you want to do. The other thing too is collaborations. How do I collaborate with people to help tell their story, right? That's going to be so important. And then how do I do it in such a way that they benefit from it and they find empowerment within it? That's going to be one. And then the other thing is I'm going to say is, and what's the other thing I was going to say on that? There was something that I was wanting to point out. I don't know. It'll come back to me. But let's start there. When you're talking about creating a media company, and make sure those stories are truly authentic and you're speaking the truth. You're not sugarcoating it, and allow people to tell their story. I'm not trying to code it in any different type of way other than the way you put it out there. I just want to amplify your message and your voice. So media company, and there's millions of people that have media companies out here. There's a lot of people that are doing great things. I'm just one individual trying to do my thing within my lane to help the people, who I see most often. So that's how I started mine.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you also mentioned that you don't sugarcoat things. Like, I feel like we need that authenticity within the media space, especially today, as there are media platforms everywhere, as you
Yeah,
mentioned. Sometimes you just never know, like, is this the authentic truth of this brand, of this person? And the more you can shine that light, from who you are, the more people can really trust you, and your business is going to grow. And I would love to know from everybody who's tuning in, and hello, sister happy one, from London. I do want to know from all of you, what do you wish to see in media in 2025, thinking about everything that you see on social media, on TV, or maybe you're at the movies, ads, and things like that. What is important to you? What do you want to see from media? And I want to get into some fun questions about the blocks. um,
yeah, let's go.
the blocks, for anybody who doesn't know, the blocks is an amazing entrepreneur, like, competitive show where you can go and meet hundreds of other folks like me and Patrick, and we get together and we compete against each other. We learn concepts, and it's all shown on reality TV to shine all the amazing light on who you are and your business. And I want to ask you, since you were on that show, and I feel like every day you were always so happy, you were always so joyful. I remember you coming in yelling, just so
Yeah.
filled with life. What did that experience teach you about your business, your confidence, and just who you are as a person?
That's a great question. Let me first address your comment that you made about the energy and me yelling and all that good stuff. When I was chosen to be, one of the members on the blocks, I felt extremely grateful, right, for the opportunity. And that's the only thing. And we talked about empowerment, right? And I talked about options, right? That was an opportunity for me to be in a room with a lot of game changers, to be selected in a room to network and learn from other people. And so my mindset coming into the show was, you know what? Every single day is going to be a learning experience for me. Like that's the only thing I wanted to get at it today is I want to learn something new. And so I came with that energy, and people showed up like yourself, showed me love because I was providing that energy back. Um, so that's one why I gave that energy. What I was hoping to learn from that is to help me understand things that I didn't know, especially when we're talking about being an entrepreneur. Yes, I came from that corporate world, right? I spent 15 years in healthcare, grinding and climbing that career ladder. But being an entrepreneur, that's a totally new skill set. Like that's learning a whole new language as well. That's like changing your identity, and it truly was for me. And so being an entrepreneur, I was like, okay, let me come in here and just soak up as much as I can from all these people that are doing dope things around the world, and they're driving millions of dollars in revenue. And here I am, I'm coming in here, my company is making $0, absolutely $0. And so how can I, glean from other people? So I wanted to come with that mindset, and what I learned is that honestly, even though I was an entrepreneur that hadn't had any money, any revenue on the show, we were still all in the same boat where, we struggle with certain areas of the business, whether that's marketing, whether that's operations, whether that's content creation, whether that's telling our story, whatever that may be. And so I identify with everybody. And that helped me get through, being on the blocks. Is there another piece of that question that I wanted to hit on?
Just what you
Okay.
yourself,
Say it again.
what you learned about yourself personally.
Yeah. What I learned is, you know what? I learned that I make like my decision making is pretty good. Like I felt like I really was. Like I felt like my decision making was good. I was like, man, honestly, dude, this was like the best decision you ever made for yourself.
Right?
Because even outside of business, just the networking opportunities that actually have happened and the collaborations that have actually happened since then is priceless. It's worth, whatever we invested to, to show up on the show. So I learned that. And then I learned too that I was on the right path
Yeah.
because it felt good being in the room. But here's another thing that happened, and I'm not sure if this was a question or not. Probably, and if you guys never seen the Blocks is a 7-day show where they record you for 24 hours of the day. They take you through this crash course where you do these assignments. They put you in these groups and they pit you against one another to see who is like the best of the best within the group. And then after the group session, you ended up on a stage where they record you against all the group winners, and all this stuff is live, right? And then they announce a winner, basically. So you have to regurgitate, you have to first take notes, regurgitate what you've learned, get on stage, and then tell the whole world what you've learned in a
Yeah.
competition type format, right? So all that was going on. But I would say maybe day 4, the imposter syndrome really hit me really bad. And a
Right.
lot of people were like, what is imposter syndrome? You hear the word, but do you truly know what it means? And
Right.
oftentimes what happens is imposter syndrome is you're in the room, you're supposed to be in the room, but you feel like you shouldn't be there. You see what I'm saying? Like you're there, like you've done all the coursework, you've done everything to position yourself to be in that room. And then you look around and you're like, I don't think I'm qualified to be here, or I
Right.
probably shouldn't be here, but you've done the work, right? So the imposter syndrome comes in. So here it is, day 3, day 4, whatever it was. And I'm just sitting here. I've like so much information was coming. I've met so many different people and I'm trying to process it all. And so I'm sitting back and I'm in my feelings. Like I'm truly in my feelings. And I'm thinking, I don't think I should be here. Like I really don't think like I'm not as accomplished as Z. My business is not driving, millions of dollars of revenue. I don't have the brand presence that she does. Or you know what? You can always identify all these different things that you don't do well, and then imposter syndrome hits you. So what I learned is how to continue to face that, embrace what I have accomplished, and then continue to move forward. So it was a dope experience for me. Hopefully, it was dope for you. And you guys, our season just ended just probably this last Sunday. You can probably catch a replay of that as well.
Yes, I invite all of you to watch it and see how we navigate it live. There's lots of gems in there, and as Patrick mentioned, you learn a lot about the technicalities of business, but also about yourself. And I love that you bring up the vulnerability aspect, and I honor that you share that because I was also in that same boat. Ironically, while I was there, and there were so many amazing businesses making a lot of money, and I felt
Yes.
the exact same way. And the funniest thing is we're all thinking it. We're all
Yeah.
thinking, but we don't necessarily say it. And I remember there was a day, I think it who was it from Ebenezer Hats that like really tapped into that energy of
Right.
supporting the community, which is why it's great to be in community, and was like, we all need to celebrate ourselves because like not only were we selected out of like over 10,000 people, but we're here and we're doing it, and we're just here in community just loving on each other, right? Like
Yep.
let's not forget about it, because sometimes when you're in those circumstances, it is very easy to slip into that imposter syndrome. And I always like to tell myself that there is an audience for everybody, and someone's just waiting for you to step into the spotlight, right? Like someone's just waiting to see you, and the only way they're going to find you is if you do it. It doesn't matter if you do it right. It doesn't matter when you do it, just as long as you do it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And I do want to ask you what advice you would give to someone who feels like they're meant for more in their life but doesn't get started.
Say that last part you cut out. They were meant for more, but what?
Um, they're meant for more, but they don't know how to get started.
Oh, you meant for more, but you do not know how to get started. Oh, all right. So first, start with networking. I would start here. It's kind of like what we're doing now. We're going live. There's many different channels that this is broadcasted across, and you see all the people that have joined, and we only see like a handful of people that's in the comments, but there's just as many people behind the scenes that have not put comments in, right? And for whatever reason, they just chose to be behind the scenes because they like to process and take things in. But
Mhm.
what we did today is we found a group, and in this group, we're exchanging information. So I would start there, find that person or those people or those groups or individuals that speak to you and the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish within your life, and then glean from those people. The other thing too is you have to be really really good, and not only listening but celebrating people's success. And I want to point out the fact that I show up and identify as a black male, right? And in our culture, we struggle celebrating the wins of people that look like us for whatever reason. Like somebody's doing something dope online, and for whatever reason, we don't want to like their content. Why? Because we didn't create it. Like, come on. Yes, that person. Like, come on. Let's you. It for me. What I understand. What has helped me out is celebrating everybody else's wins, and then your wins will come. So that's blessing other people, and then other people, and then your blessings will come as well. So I truly live with a servant leadership's heart. I want to help you because I know if I help you, then that's going to position you to be able to help somebody else, right? And that's always been my mantra too. And when I'm scaling and elevating, there's leaders that they know things and they hold it from you because now I have something over you, right? Now I have empowerment over you because you want to be in my position. I've never been that person. My thing is, if I know it, you know it. And why am I sharing this with you? Because I'm only going to get stronger and better as a leader if I share what I know with you, because there's strength in numbers. We're trying to strengthen our team. So that's going to be important. So we're going to go back. I would tell you, go find your group, find the people that speak to you, um, absorb as much information as possible, take notes, and then write out your vision. Like, what is my big boy? What is my big girl vision? What does that vision looks like? And then ask myself, how do I get started towards this? And then it could be the smallest of things, just posting one particular post today, reaching out to one particular person today, networking with one particular person today. And there's an art to networking, and a lot of people don't know this. But this is what I mean. And I know you didn't ask this question, but it's still in line. There's an art to networking too. I want to share this with everybody so you know how to network, okay? First, you identify your target, whomever that person is you want to connect with, right? And then you want to connect with two or three different people around that person, right? The reason is because before I reach out to the person that I want to connect with, I want to be within their orbit. I want to be around them, right? I want them to see I have visibility within their circle. And then I'm able to connect with them. And then once I connect with them, I want to connect with two or three different people who also are on that same path or in that same circle as that person as well. And then I'm going to continue to expand that out. So it starts with people around your target, connect with those people, and then you can move towards your target. And once you connected with your target, now I can expand from there. And that's that ground and pound is what I call it. The ground and pound is ground and pound. So you got to get good at that ground and pound. And hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it definitely does, and I love the name that you have for that, and just how important it is again to turn to your community and put yourself out there. And I would love to know from everybody in the chat, if you had your own reality TV show for this season of your life, what would it be called? And there's also a comment from someone on LinkedIn. It's actually a quote, and it says, "The closer we get to where we see ourselves going in life, the more the people around us become what we expect." And I love that because I immediately think of when you're manifesting, right? The first thing that you learn is my reality is a direct reflection of who I am and the energy that I hold. And so the minute that you can shift into your most empowered self is the minute that you start to gravitate people who are also empowered, or folks into your life who are in the places that you want to be in. And I love that quote, and I believe, is it Pasha?
Yeah, that's dope. Thank you, Pasha. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I love that. Um, and as we are starting to head out, I have some questions for you around legacy. So what legacy are you building through PDP Media?
Oh, the legacy we talked about before of empowerment, storytelling. The legacy is, it's like trifold, right? It's one, there's going to be the people within healthcare looking for opportunities. I want to help you out. I want to help you get to the next level. Two, it's going to be those organizations who are helping tell their different and better story. I want to help you out. So make sure you connect with me. You can check out some of my dope content that takes people behind the scenes. There's going to be a whole tech piece of PDP Media that's going to come to light at some point, hopefully here in 2025. That's going to actually help position you to get the career that you're looking for within healthcare or any vertical. I would say that. And then I also want to share the story, if you don't mind, Z. I just want to
Go for it,
just
please.
just so people can identify with who I am as a person. I struggled in life, man. We struggled in life as a family. So I was raised by, a black female. My mom was 4'11". She had a street name, and her street name was Little Bit, Lilbit, Little Bit. And this is the most strongest, fiercest woman that you probably ever know, and that's just from a mental standpoint because mentally she carried that. And my mom was a hustler. She was also a high school dropout. Like she dropped out of high school, had me at age 18. And so I'm the oldest of two. There's me and my brother, we're 5.5 years apart. And my mom, the whole entire life, I know what she was seeking is she was seeking love. Like, so she had me out of love. Like a lot of us, we have kids because we want someone to love us. And that's why my mom had me. Like she really wanted somebody to love her. So man, I love the crap out of her because not only did I love her because she was my mom, but I love the sacrifices that she made to provide for me and my brother. And so here we are, my mom, high school dropout, no education, trying to raise two black men in a metropolitan city. And I grew up in Austin, Texas. So, I'm a city boy, right? On six streets on the weekend, having a great time. It was amazing. But we struggled. And every 6 months, we went from house to house to house. And only because my mom had no stability in her life. Like she couldn't afford to keep up with the rent, because we was always rent. We were never a homeowner. It wasn't until high school that I actually had we actually had a phone in our house. Like I didn't have a phone in our house. I slept on a little pallet in the corner in the room. I've never had a bed until I went to the military. And I want to point all this. These are real struggles that we all identify and face with, right? Oftentimes we didn't have lights, we didn't have gas. We'd have peanut butter, no jelly, spam with no bread. We were that type of family. We relied on government assistance to help us out. But when I think about like my motivation and why I even do what I do, it's because it's my mom. Like she sacrificed so much for us when so many other people they give up on life. She could have took herself out there. We could have ended up in a foster home. She didn't do any of that. She was like, I'm just gonna grind this out. I'm gonna thug it out and we're gonna do what we do. And so she has always been, my guiding light, my joy, my rock, my motivation. And I use that same energy today. Here it is in 2025. My mom passed away during the pandemic, and it was a horrible death for her. She died during the pandemic, cirrhosis of the liver from drug and alcohol abuse through all the years. I share all this stuff with you because I'm an open book, and I like being an open book. I like being authentic with you. I like telling you the story of what's real. This doesn't, everything I'm sharing with you doesn't take anything away from my mom because I love her to death. This was her reality, right? This was her struggle. I was a part of it. And I've always been motivated to change that scenario to get to another place in life. And so that's why PDP Media, that's why what I do, the way I show up online, I show up authentically me because I identify with you. You probably identify with me. We face these challenges together. Let me show you how to navigate and move past them. Let me give you a little bit of motivation today. Create a little bit of positivity in your life so you can move to the next level. So you didn't ask for it, but I gave it to you.
I love every single minute of it. Thank you so much for, sharing that story, and my heart goes to you for your mother as well, and just their strength and resilience. And it sounds like you've learned so much from them, and that they were really an inspiration and still are an inspiration for you and continuing to move forward. And I think it's important that everybody here, from every person in this world, our beginnings and how we got to where we are today. And I resonate with your story so much. And I had spent some time being homeless as well, and not really having a place to go, and witnessing my single mother really putting in the grit and the work. And it taught me everything that I know today on, like, anything is possible if you keep going, and all it takes is just another breath, another movement, another glass of water, and a little hope. And so I appreciate you sharing that. And I know so many folks, whether they're watching this live or watching the replay, are going to resonate, and feel that hope and that love that sometimes can slip away so easily when we are living in our day-to-day hustle and grind and trying to figure out what this life is, right? So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I want to ask you one more thing. What's next for you and PDP Media?
Ooh, let's see. I'm looking at my calendar right now. I have nothing on my calendar for today, so I don't freaking know what's next for today. But we talked about that, right? Like we talked about that. Like sometimes you just wake up and you have purpose in your heart, and the only thing I need to do is show up. And so, honestly, I don't really know what's next, but I have a vision of what's next, and my vision is to continue to inspire and impact the next generation of leaders across healthcare. Part of that, what you're gonna, see me is showing up as my best self. Sometimes you have to be the light in order to help other people. You have to be the energy source for people to tap into, right? And I'm trying to be both that light as well as an energy source. Whereas, hey, I'm dim today. I need some light. Tap in with Patrick. I'm dim today. I need some energy. Tap in with Patrick. So that's me, who I am from a big standpoint. But you would also see here in this year, and I'm going to speak it into existence, more speaking engagements coming here in 2025. You're going to see additional storytelling, me spotlighting people that look like you here in 2025. And then also that tech piece of PDP Media that's going to come to fruition here in 2025 as well. So that's what's next for me.
I love that. Yes, put it into the universe. We are manifesting it. I'm praying over it. I'm sending you all the good vibes. And we also just had Cassie, who was also on season 16 of The Blocks, pop in and says, "Wow, Patrick," with teary eyes and cheering you
What's
on.
up, Cassie? What's up? What's up?
Story. Cassie is an amazing vocal coach extraordinaire who has also helped me. They're based out of Miami and is so gifted. Again, reminder to watch that show if you have not already, and keep a lookout for Patrick. Patrick, I just thank you so much for showing up today. And I know you have many projects that we talked about that are going to be really putting you in front of the lens again. So get comfortable being in front of folks, and I am going to be cheering you on. And I would love for you to share how folks can support the work that you do, and get in touch with you.
Yeah, I mean, support me and then get in touch with me is both the same thing. If as long as you're following me, then you're part of my network, and that's important to me. Having a network of people that not only that I can rely on, but I can tap back in with, because my network is my net worth, right? You've probably heard that before, and I want to, don't be surprised if you're part of my group and I hit you up for a collab opportunity to help you tell your story, or vice versa, you hit me up. So that's next, and I want to give a shout out to Z, man. Look at Z. She showed, look how she looked. Oh my goodness. Dope, man. We got look the pink with the pink shirt. She came out. She was looking. She giving today. I'm loving it. Oh my goodness. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that healthcare guy, THAT healthcare guy across all your social media. You can connect with me there. Follow me, like it, and all that good stuff. And we'll go from there.
I love that. Thank you so much again, Patrick, for being here. You are such an inspiration. And Patrick is going to be saying hello again on another stream. So we'll be sharing that information. Yeah, get that dancing, get that dancing.
Let's go.
Out here making an impact. So we wanted to make sure as a community that you were receiving all the love and support in the world. Cassie says she's proud of us both. We're cheering everybody on. So thank you all so much for joining today. There's going to be information in the description, depending on what platform you are on. YouTube, it's going to be in the description. For all other ones, it's going to be in the comments, and I'll be sharing more of Patrick's contact information so you all have it. Feel free to ask questions and let me know if this was helpful for you. You can cheer us on, you can cheer yourself on, put in your affirmations as we do in the fairy medicine world. What are you calling into fruition for 2025? And we have Ashe here saying thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Z. This has been such an experience. And again, Patrick, I'm yeah, I'm so grateful for you. So we will be bringing the vibes, and that is it, my friends. I will see you all later. And
Thank
thank you.
you, people. Love you. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Bye, everyone.